I never thought a simple food delivery could turn into a nightmare. But that's exactly what happened to me one fateful night. It was just like any other evening. I was working late at my office and craving some Chinese food. I decided to order from a new restaurant that had recently opened up in the city. Little did I know this decision would change my life forever. As I waited for my food to arrive, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The street outside my office was eerily quiet, and the sound of my own footsteps echoed through the empty hallway. I brushed off the feeling, thinking it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But as time passed and my food still hadn't arrived, that unease turned into full-blown anxiety. Just when I was about to call the restaurant to inquire about my order, I heard a knock on the door. I let out a sigh of relief, thinking it was finally my food. But as I opened the door, I was met with a sight that sent chills down my spine. Standing in front of me was a delivery guy, dressed in a tattered uniform and holding a bag of food that was dripping with an unknown liquid. Without saying a word, he handed me the bag and quickly walked away. I stood there, frozen in shock, as I watched him disappear into the darkness. Something about him seemed off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I shrugged it off, thinking I was just being paranoid, and closed the door. But as I opened the bag, a foul stench hit my nose. I gagged and quickly closed the bag, thinking maybe the food had gone bad. But then I noticed something strange. The food was still warm, as if it had just been prepared. I decided to call the restaurant and complain about the quality of the food. But as I dialed the number, I realized something even more unsettling. There was no restaurant by the name I had ordered from. My heart started racing as I tried to make sense of the situation. Who was this delivery guy? Where did he get the food from? And why was he wearing a uniform with no restaurant name on it? I was about to call the police when I heard a knock on my office door. I cautiously walked towards it, and as I opened it, I was greeted by the same delivery guy, this time with a sinister grin on his face. "Did you enjoy your meal?" he asked, his voice sending shivers down my spine. I didn't know what to say. I was too terrified to even move. He continued to stare at me with his piercing eyes, and just as I was about to close the door, he pushed his way inside. I stumbled back, my heart racing with fear, as he closed the door behind him. "Who are you?" I finally managed to utter, my voice shaking with fear. "I am the delivery guy," he replied, his grin growing wider, "and you, my dear, are my next meal." I stood there, paralyzed with fear, as he revealed his true form. His skin was rotting, and his eyes were pitch black. He lunged towards me, and I let out a blood-curdling scream, but no one could hear me. I was all alone with this monster, and there was no way out. As he got closer, I could smell the stench of death emanating from his decaying body. I knew I had to do something, but I was too scared to even move. Just when I thought it was all over for me, I heard a loud crash. The delivery guy turned towards the noise, and in that moment, I saw my chance to escape. I ran as fast as I could, my heart pounding in my chest, as I made my way out of the office building. But just when I thought I was safe, I heard a voice behind me. "Next time, make sure you order from a real restaurant," the delivery guy said, with a sinister laugh. I never looked back as I ran towards my car, my mind racing with fear and confusion. I couldn't believe what had just happened. It felt like a nightmare, but unfortunately, it was all too real. I never found out who that delivery guy was, or where he came from, but one thing was for sure: I would never order food again without thoroughly checking the restaurant's credentials. That night, I learned the hard way that sometimes the scariest things can happen when you least expect them. And that's a food delivery horror story that I will never forget.